Okay, good morning to you all.
Good morning, madam.
Good morning.
Yeah, I hope you have gone through the previous videos what I have uploaded in the YouTube channel.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that you will feel the continuity. Otherwise, it will be like new topics we are going through. So better go through the videos once, if at all you have not gone through, and we'll start the classes online.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So you can see the presentation, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This is the lecture 6 on under module 1 under big data analytics. Now let's recap what we have seen in the last class. We have gone through types of data elements, visual data exploration, and exploratory and statistical analysis, and how to deal with missing values, right? So now we are going to learn how to detect the outliers and how to treat them. Now, what is an outlier? See, when we collect some data points, the observations with extreme values, these are called as outliers, right? Now, the types of outliers can be treated as valid observations and invalid observations. Now, what are valid observations? Can you think of some examples under valid observations which may be outliers? Say if we take the salary of employees, salary of most of the employees may range between some 10,000 to 50,000, right? But if we take the salary of CEO, then he may have some 1 crore per annum. In that case, we can say we can say this is a valid observation. And invalid observations, say if the age of a person is recorded as -2, or if if his age is recorded as some 350. In this case, we call it as invalid observation, right? So you understood the difference between valid outlier and invalid outlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Valid outliers are like we have some limit within which we take the observation, and outside the observation, outside that range, if any observation falls, that may be treated as a outlier. You have any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Students, if you're talking anything else, please mute your audio. It's disturbing the class. Now, what are the categories of outliers? Outlier can be univariate and multivariate outliers. Naina, please mute your audio.
Main road alva adike.
Yeah, main road.
Shashank, as usual, you're getting diverted. Okay. Now, what are the categories of outliers? So far, we have seen income and age. This income and age are univariate outliers. Univariate outliers means they are outlying. These observations are outlying on one particular variable. But if we take multivariate outliers, they outlie on two or more parameters. Say in this case, we take age on this x-axis and income on this y-axis, right? Now, if we take this outlier and this outlier, these are outliers, these are data points outlying on two parameters. Say here, a person having high age is having very low income. And when we come to this outlier, a person having very low age is having very high income. In this case, these two can be treated as outliers. These are the data points which are outlying on two dimensions, that is on age and income, right? Okay, now what are the steps involved in dealing with outliers? Okay, we know how to understand about the outliers. Now, what are the steps involved in dealing with outliers? We have two steps. One is to detect the outliers and then to deal with the outliers in order to pre-process our data and get a clean data set to perform further analysis. So this, under this detection task, we sometimes calculate the minimum and maximum values for each of the data elements. So that if we know the data elements minimum and maximum value, any value or observation that is falling outside this range, we can treat it as outlier. And another important tool that we use to detect outlier is by using various graphical tools. Say if we are taking the example of histogram. In this histogram, you can observe the graph given here. We have ranges from 0 to 5, 20 to 25, 25 to 30, and any observations are plotted here which falls under these intervals. Now, we can treat this as an outlier and this as an outlier. Why? Because most of the data is falling within this range with a normal distribution. But whereas these two ranges are outside the minimum or maximum value, then we can treat this as outlier. So by using histograms, we can see the distribution of the data and then understand how the outliers fall outside a particular range. Now another example, another graphical tool what we use for detecting outliers is a box plot. Now what is represented in a box plot? See here, you can see three ranges: quartile 1, median, which is also called as quartile 2, and quartile 3. Now all the data points are distributed over this range, having the minimum value, the first quartile. This is the first quartile. What does this first quartile indicate? First quartile indicates how many of the values, say 25% of the values lie below which range, that is given by quartile 1, and median or quartile 2. This gives how 50% of the values lie below which value, and quartile 3 gives us 75% of the values fall below which value, right? So this box plot will help us to find out what is the minimum value, what are the 25% of the value distribution, 50% and 75%, and the maximum value here. If the maximum value is well within the range, then that can be represented in this particular range. But here we can see that there are three outliers which are falling outside this range of 1.5 times the interquartile deviation. So how we calculate this interquartile deviation? It is nothing but the difference between quartile 3 and quartile 1. Now, when we take this interquartile range, 1.5 times this interquartile range will give you the range outside which, if any observation falls, that should be treated as an outlier. Did you understand this? Okay,
Yes,
now let us go to next calculation that we can use to detect the outliers, that is Z-score. Now, how to calculate this Z-score? How to first define this Z-score? It is how many standard deviations an observation is away from the mean. This formula can be read as, I am repeating again, how many standard deviations an observation is away from the mean. That will give you the Z-score. Say in this example, you can take the age parameter, values under the age parameter, where the mean is given as 40 and the standard deviation is given as 10. Now, by definition, the mean of the Z-scores should be 0 and the standard deviation of the Z-score should be 1. Okay. Now, when you take individual data point value 30, say here xi equal to 30, and the mu given is 40, and the standard deviation given is 10. Now, how do you calculate the z-score? Z-score is zi, that is for this data point value. You take 30 minus mu 40 divided by standard deviation. What is the value here? Minus 10 by 10, that gives you 1, right? That is how this value is calculated. Now all the values of this z-score are calculated, and we can fix by definition of the z-score that any value of the z-score, if it is falling beyond absolute value of z is falling beyond 3, then it is treated as a outlier. What is absolute value greater than 3? It is nothing but z value lies within the range of -3 and +3. Okay, so any z-score value, if it is falling below -3 range or above, going beyond 3, we can treat it as an outlier. Now, can you find out here what are the outliers? Just go through the table and find out what are the outliers.
Ma'am, can you repeat this again, because you are going too fast?
Which one you want me to repeat?
This figure, ma'am.
Okay. 1 second. So from this explanation, 4 can be treated as an outlier. Why? Because this is falling beyond this range. I'm repeating this once again. This z-score is a method to detect the outliers. Now, how to calculate the z-score? For any data value of a parameter, if you take zi, it will tell us how many standard deviations. Sigma is the standard deviation. How many standard deviations a data item or a data value is away from its mean. What does this mean? If you calculate 30 plus 50 plus 10 plus 40 plus 60 plus 80 divided by, if we have taken 6 values, it is divided by 6. That will give us the mean. Now, the difference of every data point, say 30 minus 40 divided by the standard deviation 10. You know how the standard deviation is calculated?
Yes, ma'am.
Standard deviation is sum squared deviations of every data point, every data item from the mean divided by the total number of observations. Square root of that will give you the standard deviation. You can Google for the formula in the net, you will get the formula for standard deviation. Now, taking 30, that is the first data point, first observation, minus what is the mean of all the observations here? 40. 40 divided by the standard deviation, that is 10. That will give you the z-score in the first case. We have calculated here for the first data point, that is -1. Did you understand now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
so this is calculated for first point. In the same way it is calculated for all the data point, all the data values. Now, among these values, which can be treated as an outlier? By the definition of z-score, we take that absolute value of z, if it is going beyond the value 3, then it is treated as an outlier, right? That is nothing but -3, z lies between -3 and +3. So in all these z-scores, we have taken this as the outlier. Why? Because its value is 4. So 80 is treated as outlier in this case. Got the point now?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. Now, so far we have discussed about methods that focus on only univariate outliers. You know what is an univariate outlier, right? Any outlier or observation that is outlying on one dimension or on one parameter, we treat it as univariate outliers. But if you have multiple variables, say income, age, and his marital status, if we take multiple dimensions, then we have other methods to detect the outliers. Multivariate outliers can be detected by fitting regression lines and inspecting the observations with large errors. Say maybe using residual plots. These you will learn in advanced data analytics, but I'll give you a small example. Say if you take income of a person and age of a person. In this case, age lies between 20 to 60 for any employee in an organization. And his income also lies between say some 10,000 to 1 lakh. Right? Now, this range is very high compared to this range. In that case, when you are fitting a regression line between these two, in that case, the larger is the number, the smaller will be the quotient. Right? And in this case, sometimes you will have a reasonable limit, 20 to 60. So when you're fitting a regression line between these two, then you have to go with other methods such as Mahalanobis distance or clustering. Mahalanobis distance means how far is a data point from the remaining data points. So if the range is too high, then we can treat it as an outlier. Or if it falls within a certain range, then we can say that that data point is a valid data point. And also in clustering, taking various parameters or properties of a data point, you cluster them into a particular group. And if any data point which is lying far away from those properties, then you can treat it as an outlier because it is not falling within the cluster, but it is very far from the cluster. Okay. Now, what are the techniques which are robust to outliers? Means which are not very sensitive to outliers. Decision trees, neural networks, support vector machines, all these are techniques which are robust to outliers. Robust in the sense, though there are outliers while building the model, those outliers will not actually affect the accuracy of the model's prediction. But when we take linear or logistic regressions, these techniques are very sensitive to outliers. Means if you have outliers while building the model, that will have a great impact on the accuracy of the model. That is why when we are developing the models using linear regression or logistic regression, then we need to remove the outliers and improve the accuracy. Now, how to deal with outliers? We know now how to detect the outliers. Now, how to deal with these outliers? Again, while dealing with the outliers, you need to consider two cases. If the observation is an invalid outlier, then it can be treated as a missing value and appropriately dealt with by using techniques what we have discussed in the last lecture, dealing with missing values. Invalid outlier means, say if the age is taken as -3. In this case, this is an invalid outlier, right? It doesn't have any meaningful interpretation. In that case, we need to treat this particular value under that parameter as a missing value. And we can either replace this or remove this, or we can impute in the sense, take some mean of the ages that are available, and that mean can be used to replace this particular value. Okay. But if the observation is a valid outlier, in that case, other methods like truncation, capping, and winsorizing can be used. What is truncation? Truncation is nothing but trimming. We can remove the value. We can remove the value from the set of observations, and we can start using rest of the data. Or capping. We can decide on a maximum value and give that maximum value wherever there is an outlier. Or winsorizing. Winsorizing is also the same. Like we need to take the maximum or minimum value for the observations, and use that value to replace the outlier, right? And also sometimes we can use sigmoid transformation. Why this sigmoid transformation is used? It is used for capping the values of the observations to lie between 0 and 1. Consider the sigmoid function. Normally it will be used in neural networks. F of x equal to 1 divided by 1 plus e power minus x. This formula can be used so that you can cap the values, you can limit the values of the observations so that they lie between 0 and 1. And in some cases, we can also take expert-based limits and impose them. Expert-based limits in the sense, some limits which can be drawn from business experience or some business expertise. Business experts can set the limits beyond which or below which, if the observations are lying, they can be treated as outliers. Now, the last topic is standardizing the data. Why to standardize the data? Actually, it is a data pre-processing activity. This standardization of data is called as one of the pre-processing activities. It is used to scale variables to a similar range. As we discussed in the previous case, say if we take income and it is lying between 10,000 and 1 crore. And if we have changed the gender, if we have coded the gender as 0 for male and 1 for female, right? Actually, gender is a binary value, right? Now, taking male or female. Now we have numerically coded it as 0 and 1. In this case, gender's value lie between, 1 second. In this case, gender's value, because we have coded it as 0 and 1, that is for male and female, this value lies between 0 and 1. But if we take the income, this value is lying between 10,000 and 1 crore. This is a very high range when compared to 0 and 1. In this case, if we can bring this income to the same scale as gender, then we can get some value, we can get the models which are not deviating at a larger scale. For that, we need to transform the data so that they lie within the same scale. This is mostly useful for regression-based approaches, but not needed for decision trees. Why? Because decision trees normally have a condition. If it is S, it goes to next part, and if it is no, it goes to goes to other condition. Now again here, one more parameter range is checked, and if it is S, we decide on one thing, and if it is no, we can decide on some other solution, right? In this case, each and every split point will consider every parameter separately, whereas in regression, we don't consider them separately. So all the values, all the parameters that are being used to develop this regression models, they should be brought under similar scale in order to build the models. That is why we need to standardize the data so that the data falls within similar range, not having any high deviations in the scale. Okay, for that we use some standardizing mechanisms. For one of the standardization methods are minimum and maximum standardization. You can see the formula here, how to calculate the new value of a data point, new value of an observation. It is taking the x's old value and the minimum value of all the old values of x divided by maximum value of the old values of x minus minimum values of old values of x. It is like calculating the range in the denominator. What is the definition for range? What is the formula for range? Maximum of set of values minus the minimum of the set of values will give you the range. Now take the range of the old values, old observations, and that should be used for dividing the x's old value, each observation's old value, minus the minimum value of the old values, and this entire thing should be multiplied by the new maximum minus the new minimum. Now what is this new maximum and the new minimum? It is the values we have set. Now if we are trying to cap the observation values between 0 and 1, then new maximum will become 1 and new minimum will become 0 plus the new minimum value. The new minimum value will be 0. Okay, this is how you calculate a new observation x. This is x new. And another method used to standardize the data is z-score standardization. I have taught you in the previous slide how to calculate the z-scores, right? So let us go to the next method of standardizing the data, that is decimal scaling. Now how do you perform this decimal scaling? You have to divide the old value of an observation by 10 power n, 10 raised to the power of n, means the n is the number of digits of the maximum absolute value. So in the observations, if you have the maximum value of some 110, in that case we can take n as 3. Right? Again, I'm repeating, in the set of observations, if you have a value 110, then the n will become 3 here. Okay? So you take the x old value and divide it by 10 power 3 here, and that will give you the new value of x. Okay? This is how you transform a value by using decimal scaling method. Now
Do we
let's
have numericals on
paraphrase
this
what
one?
we have. Repeat.
Do we have numericals on this one?
Yeah, you will have numericals on this in your exam. I may give you a data set and ask you to calculate the z-score and find out the outliers. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, now let's paraphrase what we have learned in today's class. We have seen various methods to detect the outliers. Now students, can you just come up with some suggestions for detecting the outliers from what you have learned today? How do you detect the outliers? What are the methods available?
Find the z-score
Z-score,
method.
Z-score, then
Standard
calculating the
deviation.
minimum and maximum values. What else? Using visual plots like histogram. What is the other visual plot we have studied today? Histogram. Histogram and box plot, which is also called as box and whiskers plot. Okay. Now, what are the outlier treatment methods? We have seen treatments method like truncation, or this is also called as trimming. What else? Capping, deciding on a maximum value or a ceiling value, and the other method
Yes,
is called as Winsorizing. What is done in Winsorizing? We calculate the maximum and minimum value, and that will be used to replace the outlier value, right? These are the outlier treatment methods. Okay? So I hope all of you understood today's topics.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. In the next class, we'll see the methods for categorization of the data. So you can come up with any queries now itself online, or you can post me the questions. I'll try to answer, right? Shall
Ma'am,
we
give
end the
some
meeting?
example of Z score, ma'am.
Yeah. Example of?
Give the Z score, how to find Z score based on some different data.
That is what we have discussed, right? Let me share. See, in this case, we have discussed about this data set.
Yes, ma'am.
This data set. You have seen this data set, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Also, we can take income. If we take income, the formula is the same for everything. You take this formula,
Yes,
xi is the
Okay,
individual data point. Xi is the individual data point minus the
Yes,
mean
ma'am. Yes,
of
ma'am.
all the data points divided by the standard deviation of the data points. Here for simplicity,
Yes,
they
ma'am.
have given us the already calculated mean and the standard deviation, right? This is a
Yes,
simpler
ma'am.
example, but whatever parameter under whatever parameter you want to find out the outliers, you can take each data value and find its deviation from the mean of all the data points under that particular parameter and find its standard deviation. Now the difference should be divided with the standard deviation, which will give you the Z score for that particular data point. Now that should be calculated for all the data points, and if any of those values will be normalized between -3 and +3. Now any values below -3 and beyond 3 should be treated as outliers, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, any other doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay, shall we end the meeting?
Sure, ma'am.
We'll schedule the class on Tuesday again according to your timetable. Thank
Okay,
you for
ma'am.
attending this live class. Hope you all enjoyed it.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
Okay, see you on next lecture. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Go Corona.
Go Corona, go.